It's a Las Vegas Aces versus the Indiana Fever, and you're ready for a showdown, but you can sign up for this, because just a few minutes in things go left, and Natalie, oh wow, what a comeback kind, we're talking elbow, shows blatant flops, and what looks a lot like a star player spiraling into unsportsmanlike chaos on national television. The footage is not subtle. Oj Wilson, four-time MVP, face of a league, someone who should be leading by example, throws an elbow, then another, then she flops so dramatically you think she got hit by a bus, not lightly brushed by defender. We're here for the real story and not filtered version. Subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. And then it happens the moment fans can stop replaying a shove. Lexie Hull made play gets tossed aside like an afterthought, and Oj, he doesn't even flinch, no apology, no glance, just turns and walks like it's business as usual, only it's not. Social media lights up like a Christmas tree. Replay zoom in slow-mo, and suddenly everyone's asking the same question: what the hell is going on with Oj Wilson? Because this wasn't just one bad moment, it was a pattern, the kind you can ignore, the kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the player being called the future of women's basketball. Let's rewind a bit. Oj Wilson has never been just another player. From day one, she's had a glow, the superstar aura, the stats, the accolades, the charisma. She's been the WNBA golden girl, racking up MVPs like it's nothing, leading the Aces the championship runs, and dominating the paint like it or private real estate. But there's always been a little edge, a little too much aggression, the kind of stuff some fans write off as competitive fire, while others raise eyebrows at. And during this game, that edge turned into a full-blown blade. Now, let's be real, basketball, physical contact happens, tempers flare. But this wasn't heat of the moment intensity. This was calculate. Deliberate. Watch the footage closely. Wilson knows exactly what she's doing. Illegal screens that knock players off their feet, shows that don't even pretend to be about the ball, flops that feel like a masterclass in bad acting. And the worst part, the ref's silent whistles swallowed. Fans know. Just everyone noticed, because Oj was out there throwing elbows and pretend to be foul by a gust of wind. The Indiana Fever were doing something wild, actually playing basketball, led by Kelsey Mitchell. The Fever look calm, focused, professional, and yes, that includes Caitlin Clark and Ilya Boston. Two players have been under ridiculous amount of pressure both on and off the court. While a day was rampant, people out the Fever were running plays, setting clean screens, and sinking buckets, and the contrast was embarrassing. It exposed something bigger than just one dirty game. It revealed a whole mindset. Because here's the thing, Oj Wilson didn't look like an MVP. She looked like someone trying to compensate. She missed wide open layups, committed blatant fouls, and then tried to cover it all up with drama. The physical stuff wasn't strategy, it was frustration. And the referees, well, let's say they didn't help. Calls were inconsistent, obvious fouls against a Fever ignored, touch fouls on Oj, whistle blown in under a second, the kind of imbalance that makes you wonder if you're watching basketball or politics. It's no wonder fans are heated, because when one team plays marked clean by the book and any other team gets away with borderline assault, you got a credibility problem. And it's not just about one game. This isn't the first time a day has been called out for this kind of behavior. There's a pattern, and not a flattering one. Multiple games where she's lost composure, lashed out, or flocked to manipulate refs. But this time, there's video crystal clear, and fans aren't having it. The show on Lexie Hull was a final straw. Let's talk about the moment, because it wasn't a basketball move. Lexie wasn't guarding her aggressively. She wasn't even bracing for contact. She was in the play, and Oj just checked her out of it. If this happened in a men's game, we'd be talking Jackson's technicals, at the very least something. But again, crickets. And Lexie, she didn't retaliate, did a magazine, just got up and kept playing. That is professionalism. That is what fans want to see. So now we have to ask why a lead protecting Oj Wilson. Because that's how it looks when you got a player acting like this on camera, and the refs don't call it, and the league doesn't comment. It looks like favoritism, and that's the kind of thing that kills. And trust, you can be a star, a champ, an MVP for times over. But if you lose respect of people watching, you've got nothing, and make no mistake, this game wasn't just a bad night. It was a flashing red warning light. A'ja Wilson is undeniably talented, but right now she's playing dirty and more people are finally say out loud. Meanwhile, the Fever are building something real. Alia Boss and is steady, dominant, and smart. Caitlin Clark is adapting, distributing, and playing both ends, and the team as a whole. Then I just flashy their discipline. You watch them, and you think this is the future. You watch A'ja Wilson elbowing Lexie Hull and ribs and flopping like she's auditioning for an Oscar. And you think this is what we're awarding the WNBA as work too hard to build legitimacy to let this slide, because what happens next matters. If the league stays silent, it tells players you can play dirty if you're a star. If the rescue protecting Wilson, it tells fans this game isn't fair, and if has becomes the norm, then the league stopped growing. The WNBA audience is growing because fans want real competition. They want great skill, passion, not petty drama and unchecked violence. The Fever giving them net the Aces right now, they're giving them reality TV energy. And maybe that the real twist here, A'ja Wilson isn't just acting like the villain, she's writing her own downfall in real time. Because MVP titles don't mean much if they come aside of controversy every single time, and fans they remember. So what now? Does the leagues they have been an issue, a warning, a fine? Does A'ja make a statement, apologize? Or do they all just hope we move on, forget, and tune in next week like nothing happened? Because that's the crossroads we're at. This game didn't expose Wilson, be here. Savior, expose a gap in accountability, and longer the gap goes unaddressed, the more grows. So here's the real question. Do we want a league where town get a free pass to act reckless, or do we want one where skill and sportsmanship actually matter? Because you can have it both ways. A'ja Wilson might be a 4-time MVP, but if she keeps this up, she's not just risking a reputation, she is dragging the holy down with her. And for what, a few cheap fouls and a highlight reel flops, at some point you gotta ask yourself, is it worth it? Because the Fever does expose something way bigger than a dirty play. They expose the cracks in the system. Now, let's see if anyone bothers to fix them. Let me know what you think. Was just as an intense game gone off the rails? Or is A'ja Wilson finally showing as who she really is? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you are more unfiltered breakdown to the chaos no one else wants to talk about, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Because trust me, this meltdown, it's only the beginning. After final buzzer sounds and the scoreboard shows a Fever walking away with W, the real show kicks off. And no, is none the locker room or the press conference. It's online on fan cams, in comment sections on TikTok, or slow-mo replays of a day. Wilson's elbow make her look less like an MVP and more like an enforcer for mob team in a Netflix drama. Suddenly everyone got receipts, clips from past game servers. Wilson throwing shade, throwing bodies, thrower 7th floor like a stage actor in a Shakespearean tragedy. One moment she's on a free throw line with steely focus, the next she's flailing mid-air after the slightest bond like she just got hit by a wrecking ball, and fans are putting it all together like it. A true crime documentary is not a one-off, it's a playlist. You ever watch someone unraveling real time? It's chilling, because what you start to realize is this isn't just about A'ja Wilson having a bad day. This is about a player, and maybe even a team, who's got way too comfortable playing by a different set of rules. And that right there, that's where fans started to lose faith, because for years the Aces have been sold to us as the gold standard, championship pedigree, big names, big contracts, a walking PR machine for what women's basketball can be when it's firing on all cylinders. But this guy, this footage, it's like him behind a curtain. And what back there isn't pretty. Let's talk about the psychological side of this. A'ja Wilson wasn't just physically aggressive, she was rattled. You could see it every miss, les up every non-call sheet, and get every time a Fever play that actually worked, to her. And instead of adjusting, instead of elevating, she lashed out. That's the thing about dominance. When you use the winning a certain way, when you use been out in room, you don't take world, have been humbled. And Fever, they didn't just beat the Aces, they outclass them. They didn't fight dirty, the info fouls they didn't show of, they just played smart, controlled, beautiful basketball. And that drove Oj Wilson to the edge, because there's nothing more infuriating to a dominant player until then someone who refuses to stoop to their level. Lexie Hull and swing back boss, and enthroned elbow kick. Caitlin Clark didn't so much as blink the chaos. She just kept moving the ball draining shot and letting Wilson unravel on her own. That psychological warfare in its purest form. And let's not pretend aces haven't been flirting with his meltdown for a while. You watch their bench energy when her down is like watching high schoolers who just found out promise canceled pouting soaking disengaged. They're not a team, they're a collection of egos on a losing streak, and Oj is a captain of that sinking ship. You one know what separates good players from great ones: resilience. Anyone can win when the calls go your way and your shot falling, but when it's not, when the other team is execute, eating better, getting in your head, exposing your weaknesses, that's when a real player show up. And in this game, Oj Wilson didn't show up, she imploded. But you know who did? The rookies, the grinders, the ones who have everything to prove and nothing to lose. Boston play like a veteran. Caitlin Clark play like she's been here before. Kelsey Mitchell Eisner veins. These women didn't just when they earned it. And that's something Oj Wilson might not understand anymore. Because when you've been handed MVP after MVP, when the lead treats you like royalty, when every foul gets overlooked and every flop gets rewarded, it's easy to forget what earn actually feels like. But now the spotlight, not just on Aegis' performance, it's on her character. And that's the part you can't fix with a highlight reel, because what happens when fans start saying she's dirty? What happens when little girls watching start asking why their favorite player is pushing people instead of playing the game? What happens when coaches at the youth lower use you as the example of what not to do? That's legacy damage that doesn't get undone with another championship ring, and the league they're in hot water too because of a key protecting her. If they keep acting like this for his doesn't exist, they are complicit. This isn't just about Oj anymore, it's about whether the WNBA wants to be taken seriously, because sports fans aren't dumb, they know a bias when they see one. And when you protect your stars at the expense of integrity, you start losing the people who keep your league alive. The fans, the ones paying for tickets, jerseys, streaming packages, the ones who care. Let's say whatever one's thinking, if any other player had done what a jaded Lexie, how they be fined, suspended, roasted in post-game interviews. But Wilson, she'll probably get a soft focus interview and a passionate competitor label. Please, she didn't compete, she bullied, she flopped, she embarrassed the game, and unless someone in the league office grows a spine, is going to keep happening. So what do we do with chalk it up as drama? Move on. Do we pretend like this wasn't a full-blown meltdown caught in 4K, or do we finally start having the uncomfortable conversation about what kind of player we want the top of this league? Because the WNBA deserves better, the players deserve better, the fans, they deserve so much better. We deserve a league where discipline respected, where talent doesn't get a free pass to act reckless, where MVPs are held to higher standards, not caught like fragile brands we can afford to tarnish. And yeah, this might be hard for some people here. Oj Wilson is a big name, she's done great things, she's been a role model for a lot of fans, but greatness without accountability, that's not leadership, that's his PR. And if we are building a league for future, a league that lasts, a league that stand toe-to-toe the best in the world, that we have a demand more. Because if we don't, we get more of this, more elbows, more lots more games that feel rigged, more stars acting like they're above the rules. And let's be honest, no, we want to watch that. So here we are, one viral game, one shocking moment, one out of control superstar. The internet's watching, the fans are watching, and now the WNBA has a choice to make, where they stand for integrity, or will they protect the brand? Because something tells me this isn't going away. But hey, maybe I'm being dramatic, maybe Oj Wilson was just having a moment. Maybe Lexie Hull got in her space, maybe the refs, a few things. Maybe it's all one big misunderstanding, sure, and maybe I'll win MVP next season. Look, we don't hate Oj Wilson, no one's canceling her, but we are calling it like it is. She crossed the line multiple times. And if the league doesn't check it now, they're basically handing her lie. license to do it again and again and again. Once the headlines died down and the social media club stopped trending, there's a quieter kind of fallout that starts to creep in, the kind that doesn't show up on stat sheet or he has been panels. It's in the locker rooms, the training camps, the group chats. Players don't let the publics. And you better believe A'ja Wilson's name is coming up. Here's the thing no one wants to say out loud: the respect is cracking behind the for smiles and post-game media cliches. Players notice the stuff they remember, who play with integrity and who tried to win with elbows and theatrical. And once that respect is gone, it doesn't come back easily. You think Lexie Hull's going to forget that show anytime soon. You think Caitlin Clark, who's already been body checked half to death and entering the league, didn't clock Wilson's little stunt and added to her mental receipts, because this is bigger than a rivalry now. This is about a reputation, about how you're perceived inside league, not just by fans and camera crews. A'ja might still be collecting accolade from analysts, but among players the side eyes are getting harder to ignore. When you make a habit of going dirty and daring arrest the call at the sisterhood, the unspoken bond between profession, old starts to fracture. And trust me, it's not as bad for A'ja. That's bad for everyone, because once one player stopped respecting the boundaries, the game gets dangerous. That's when frustration builds. That's when injuries happen. That's when sports stop being sports and start becoming something uglier, and we are already seeing it. You can feel the tension rising across the league. Players are getting fed up with the double standards, the miscalls, the stars who play like they're untouchable. You can see in the way defenses are starting to play tighter, more physical, more personal. If the lead doesn't check, as now someone else will. And when that happens, when a lesser known player finally decides answer back to throw a harder elbow, to give A'ja a taser own medicine, it won't be a rivalry, it'll be a reckoning. And guess will get blamed? Not the player who retaliates, not the one who finally says enough. No, they'll go after the league, because fans will ask rightly, why didn't you stop as when you had a chance? And speaking of fans, let's talk about them, because well, everyone's debating a foul count and watching slow-mo replays. The average viewer is sitting on a couch going, wait, this is a league everyone's hyping up right now. And that's not shade, the concern, because the WNBA is finally getting the spotlight it deserves, and what shows up in the spotlight matters. You only get one shot at a first impression, and for a lot of new viewers tuning in because of rookies like Clark, Boston Reese, or even the new media deals, this game their first real exposure. And what they see? They saw supposed league leaders of a play to the floor. They saw flops that would make soccer fans blush. They say a ref looking straight at fouls and doing nothing, and they saw a team rewarded for playing dirty and still losing. Tell me that doesn't plant a seed of doubt. Now, don't get it twisted, most of us love a little drama. We live for a good rivalry, passion, fire, trash talk, yes please, but there's a difference between heat and hostility, between competitiveness and chaos. And what A'ja Wilson did, that wasn't fire, that was fury, that was a meltdown in progress. You ever seen someone so used to dominating a day literally can't process what's happening when things go sideways? That's what we saw. A'ja wasn't strategizing, she wasn't recalibrating, she was flailing mentally and physically, and you felt it through the screen. It was like watching a queen lose her crown in slow motion. The facial expressions, the way she looked at the refs like, how dare you not call that, the growing desperation, and in her movements, it was all there. This is the moment where legacy players either evolve or implode. Right now, A'ja is leaning hard into option 2, and what wild is she didn't have to. She had everything going for 4 MVPs, a championship, presume upsa, avid fan base, a league willing to market her at every opportunity. All she had to do was hold it together, prove she can lead through adversity. Instead, she let her ego take the wheel. And let's be honest, ego has been creeping into that Aces locker room for a while now. The flashy pregame fits, though, we're never double attitude, the way they care of themselves, like the league owes them something. It worked when they were winning, but now it started look like a cover-up for cracks in the foundation. Because when the wins stop coming easily and the new or hungrier team start climbing, all that swagger doesn't look cool anymore. It looks like denial. Meanwhile, the Fever, they're looking like the blueprint. No drama, no dirty fouls, just growth, development, chemistry, the kind of stuff that actually builds dynasties, not just flash in the pan success stories. Clark and Boss in Atlanta, groundwork for a new era, one based on actual basketball, not intimidation, not victim playing, not flopping like you've been shot, just consistent team first. Execution is not as flashy, but it works, and more importantly, it's sustainable. Oj Wilson needs to take a hard look in the mirror, because if she keeps this up, if she keeps rely on brute force and refs empty instead of adjust their game, she's not just risking more bad press, she's risking irrelevance. And that's the real danger here, not suspension, now fines, but a slow fade into that weird category, players who were once great but couldn't evolve, the ones who get to talked about with a sad kind of nostalgia. She was good, but man, she fell off hard, and no one wants that, especially not from someone with AS talent. But talent is only part equation, the rest it's about growth, accountability, self-awareness, and into. She shows us any that we will keep having the same conversation every time she throws another elbow or flops like she's on B.